Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are in Hong Kong. I'm filming in my Airbnb that my cousin and I got for our time here. So I do apologise in this video if the light and stuff isn't the best or as good as it would normally be, but we're just kind of going with what we've got. But while I've been here I've managed to pick up a good few different Hong Kong craft beers for you. So I do hope you enjoy this little mini series of things over the next little while. So for the first one we are going to kick off with a brewery that's owned by Scottish guys actually. So we're going to go to the Kwai Chung district, which is a little bit to the north of Kowloon, and we're having a taste of my first ever beer from Yardley Brothers Beer. This one is called the Hong Kong Bastard. It comes in at 7.8% ABV and it's an American style IPA, this one. I'm really excited to try this actually because it uses the US 05 yeast, which is a classic kind of homebrewing yeast actually. So really curious to try this one, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that hopefully I can do in the future from this brewery. Very first time I'm trying one of their beers, as I mentioned. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Hong Kong beers that I'm going to do for you. Hopefully I can add to that again fairly soon in the future, and as always please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Yardley Brothers then, on to my brewery notes. So the Yardley Brothers Brewery was founded by Luke and Duncan Yardley, and the brothers are Scottish. Luke previously worked as a parts wholesaler and he ended up staying in Hong Kong after he met a girl, but then he dumped her apparently and then met a new one who became his wife. But he and Duncan had homebrewed together at home in Scotland, and then they took it up again when Duncan joined him in Hong Kong back in 2014, and the main reason they started brewing for themselves was because they couldn't get the beer that they wanted to drink. And one of the things to note about the Hong Kong craft beer scene is that it kind of is a decade or so behind what goes on in Japan these days. So Hong Kong is still fairly new to the craft beer scene. It's only the last sort of 4 or 5 years that it really has kicked off here apparently, but they've now got about 30 different craft breweries from what I understand. But the first brewery that the Yardley brothers had was on Lamma Island, but in December 2016 they opened up a production brewery on the 5th floor of an industrial building, and this was basically because the rent in Hong Kong for places is so high. This place was a lot cheaper, and you know, apparently when they moved in they had a bit of a hassle actually getting the tanks up there. They wouldn't fit in the elevator, so them and 8 friends had to put them in and take them up the stairs physically. But they're still in this brewery, and it can be found in the Kwai Chung area at the Watut Industrial Centre, and they've also got their beer shack out on Lamma Island, which is their old home brewing base if you like. So Luke brews the beer along with Joseph Gaultier, who is from Michigan. And as of June 2019, these guys, according to Untappd, have produced 28 different types of beers of all different styles. Interestingly, one of those beers is actually a freeze distilled IPA, which is called the Beast, and this is the strongest beer that's produced in Asia. It's a 25% freeze distilled IPA, and you know, I've never even tried a beer that is that style, so it would be cool to try that at some point. But you know, I think I'll need to come back to Hong Kong another time to get a hold of that one. But yeah, that was all the information I was really able to find on the brewery for just now. Cool to make this one my first ever Hong Kong beer review for you, and yeah, let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer then. I'll just let you have a little look at this as well before we open up. This is a glass that I got from Zhang Men, and this is another one of the Hong Kong craft breweries, and I bought this one. It was a little bit expensive, but this is a brewery who don't actually bottle their beer, but if you get the chance to go to Zhang Men, they've got 2 locations, one in Kowloon and another one over on Hong Kong Island. I highly recommend that you go there. Nearly breaking it. Very good at their traditional beers, and they do a whole variety of different styles as well. And I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork on this one as well, because I think this is pretty damn good actually. The Hong Kong Bastard Imperial IPA, really nice looking piece of artwork on this one here. But yeah, you can see there is the Hong Kong, it's in the Hong Kong Beer Championships. They did win a good few medals for this beer actually, and it tells you on the back too a little bit about the hops and malts and things that are in this one. So the yeast strain in this, as I mentioned earlier, US05. The malts are Paleo, Wheat and Munich, and the hops in this one are Citra, Cascade, Zeus, Amarillo and Simcoe. So yeah, really, really nice one. This, I do like the guy with the beer belly and stuff there, and there is a little look at the bottle cap on this one. So yeah, my cousin very kindly is good with a lighter. We don't have a bottle opener, so he's opening up this one for me. Hopefully it works. Alright guys, problem with the lighter was a bit shit, but we did get the beer open anyway. So let's get this guy poured and we'll get on with the tasting then. So yeah, now I have to say, this is quite an unusual colour for an IPA. I don't think I've ever come across one that is quite that colour before. Look at that. Really, really unusual beer colour of beer, this one. So yeah, so if I hold this beer up to the light, it's almost the same colour as like a rye IPA or something like this. I don't think I've had a regular sort of American style IPA beer come out this colour in a very, very long time. This one's almost, if I hold it up to the light, it's almost a kind of very, very dark chestnutty copper colour. You can see there's about a half finger of a frothy, I would say, kind of fawny coloured head on this one. You know, it looks really nice actually, and it smells very nice. Some really nice fruity aromas coming out of this one. But yeah, it looks absolutely lovely. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass there, a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of the head. But you know, overall, it looks really pretty nice actually. I have to say, it's just an unusual colour. I don't think I've had an IPA this dark in quite some time actually, but definitely not out with the realms of possibility for an IPA. But you know, if I was looking at this one without knowing what it was, I'd probably guess it was like a rye IPA or something like this. Really interesting colour on that one actually. But yeah, let's take a closer look at the aroma and just see how we get on with this one then. Oh, that smells really nice actually. The thing is, the US05 yeast, it's a really, really distinctive one. One of my favourite breweries back home in Sweden, they've got the Höylipan from Höyli Brewery just outside of Malmö. They've got an IPA that uses Citra, Simcoe and the US05 yeast, and it's really beautiful. It's one of these kind of classic old school beers. I've got a feeling that this one might feel a little bit old school in that sense, but as soon as you go into the aroma of this beer, some of the kind of more malty notes that come out of this are really sort of nostalgic actually. So I really like how this one kind of comes across. So straight away in the malt, from the malt base, you're getting this really nice sort of white, smooth, bready quality. It really, you know, it really reminds me actually of the bread. I think it was Mother's Pride it was called, that my mum used to give me in my sandwiches and things. It's just got a little bit of that in it. Definitely some nice biscuity malts, a little bit like McVitie's Digestives, the kind of syrupy stuff they use to hold all the grains together. A little bit of a kind of sweeter caramel coming out of this one as well, and it's quite a light caramel and a sweet caramel, not toasty really for me. So it's quite a sweet smelling malt base, this one, and you can feel the yeast that they're using in this beer. The US05 really contributes to the sort of almost sweet quality that the beer, the bready side of the malt base has. So you know, it really is. It's a really nice smelling beer, this one, from the malty perspective. On the green side of the hops, there's not too much in the way of there's not too much coming out from this one in terms of the green side of the hops. For me, this one leans towards the grassy side of things, and you know, there's a little bit of floral quality in there. I mean, the hops they've used in here: Citra, Cascade, Zeus, Amarillo, Simcoe. You know, Citra, Amarillo, and Simcoe. These are the three hops, the three big hops that really kicked off the IPA originally. So again, this is something that's making me think that this beer will be a little bit old school. They're using Munich malts in here as well. So Munich malts again are distinctively and bready. So the US05 and the Munich malts will be sort of playing together in this one. But the fruity side of this beer is really nice. I mean, for me, you can pick out a little bit of the oily orange which comes from the Amarillo. You can pick out a little bit, there's definitely some nice tropical fruits in there for me. The mangoes from the Citra is really coming out. You've also got a little bit of a kind of juicy-ish. You can pick up the slightly darker notes of the passion fruit and the grapefruits that you're going to get from the Cascade and the Simcoe respectively, but it's quite a juicy tropical fruit. For me, it's more the mangoes and the oranges that kind of come out of this one. Zeus normally is, from what I remember is Zeus is a little bit kind of similar to German noble hops in a way, but a little bit more kind of floral and spicy, so that the Zeus isn't contributing too much to the aroma in my mind. This beer almost just has a little kind of touch of a sort of medicinal, cough syrupy type quality to it as well, just from the malts and things. So yeah, it's a really interesting combination of aromas, this one, but to me it smells like quite a sweet, malty and quite oily, fruity combination of beer, this one. So I'm really curious to try this and just see how it turns out. But as I always say, take a little bit of time and just enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it. But we're going to try this one now and just and see how we get on. So this one is the Hong Kong Bastard, a double IPA coming in at 7.8%, or an Imperial IPA, however you want to term it, from Yardley Brothers here in Hong Kong. Let's get stuck into this one. Slàinte, skål. Yeah, it's quite nice actually. Again, I like how this one goes together. This one, to me, this is a double IPA that leans a little bit more towards the malty side of things. The other thing I should say about this one, it's 7.8%. This is on the lower end of the scale for for the Imperial double IPAs. For me, when you start to get above 7.5%, that's when you start to get into the Imperial double territory. Most of the double IPAs you're going to come across are over 8%. So this one is a little bit lighter, but in fairness, you do tend to find this a bit in Asia. Quite a few of the beers are slightly lower alcohol than they might be in other countries, at least in Japan. That's the case, so it'll be interesting to see whether this trend continues as I do my other reviews for you on the Hong Kong beers over the next while. But yeah, I do like this one. This is nice, a slightly more, it does have that nice booziness you want of an Imperial IPA. In fact, I would maybe say from the malty, the way that the beer leans towards the malty side, you might think this is a bit heavier in alcohol than it actually is. But yeah, I do like this one, but so thumbs up to Yardley Brothers for this. They've done a nice job of this. So like I was saying, this is definitely a more kind of malty leaning double IPA for me. It does have a nice little bit of hop bite to it, but it's definitely more oily, malty double IPA, this one. So let's try and break the flavour down a little bit. In the middle of your palate, you're going to feel that nice kind of white bready quality there just blanketing across the middle of the tongue. Like I was saying earlier, that's the yeast that's giving you that, and it's also a bit of that Munich malt. They've also got some wheat malt in here. And the wheat in this, obviously, I don't think it's quite as obvious as it would be in the likes of a New England IPA where you've got the oats and stuff like that. For me, it's more the Munich malts, I think, that are coming out in this. I think the wheat malts are taking a little bit of a kind of back step in there. In the middle of your palate, you can pick out a little bit of a nice sweet caramel. I think there is a teensy little bit of a toasted note to it, actually. But as you move further out from the centre of your palate, out towards the edges of your tongue, that's when you start to get some of those kind of biscuity flavours. I think there's definitely a little bit of a kind of biscuity note to this beer, which is really nice. But yeah, I really like how this one is going together. This is definitely one of these beers for me that isn't too punchy in any one regard. It's one that's more about how well the flavours blend together, actually. So yeah, I do like how this one goes together. And interestingly, when I was at Jiangmen, this is the first beer the first Hong Kong brewed beer outside of Jiangmen that I've drunk. They were surprising me in there because they were very good at blending the malt flavours together. Actually, I did notice that the Hong Kong beers tend to be a little bit more malty, and I like that when you go to different countries that you start to notice little trends about their beer. So yeah, for me, the malt base in this one is really nice. It has that big kind of sweetness to it, which is great, and it's got that little bit of booze, so it lets you know that it's an Imperial IPA. On the hoppy side of things then, back corners of the palate, you get a little tiny bit of earthiness there. As you come further forward along the sides of the tongue, it does get a little bit more floral. You can feel a little bit of the kind of grassy floral notes coming out of it. That's probably the Zeus starting to show its head, but then round the very front curve of your palate, it's a little bit more lighter and grassy, but behind the front curve of the tongue, as I always say, that's where you get this little oily bubble, where those juicy fruity esters from the hops push their way out of the beer. So for me, This one, this is kind of an interesting one actually. So if you go to the very back of your tongue there, and it comes out more as you go into the aftertaste, you can pick out just a little teeny bit of that sort of grapefruity note that you'll get from Cascade. I mean, to me, it's the Cascade is one of the hops that's really shining in this one. The further you go into the aftertaste, the sort of telltale signs of the Cascade are kind of lingering there. One of my favourite beers that I always used to drink back in Scotland was the Schiehallion Lager, and it's a Cascade lager beer, and I really like that. And you know, I used to drink that beer so often that Cascade, I'll always pick it up, and the Cascade flavours of this one really come out quite nicely for me, in my opinion at least. When you come further forward from that, you've got an interesting kind of tropical fruit mix in there. That'll be from the Citra and the Simcoe. There's a little bit of a slightly mango-y passion fruit kind of thing, and it could be construed as something else. It does have a little bit of an almost kind of like dried apricot or something. There is a good bit of complexity to the tropical side of this beer actually, but when you move further forward onto the tongue, just almost towards the tip, that's when you get the juicier oranges from the Amarillo. Amarillo is one of my favourite hops because of that big oily orange character that it's got, and as you go further into the aftertaste, I think it leans more towards those dare I say, like simpler, those kind of like those more simple kind of Cascade notes, but some of the orange lingers there as well. So this is a beer, the fruity side of this beer I think is the most complex part of it. Everything else is quite straight up in my opinion, but the fruity side of this beer does have a really nice interesting complexity to it. So just linger on that a little bit when you're tasting this for yourself. But yeah, I like how this one is going together, definitely. I think it's fair to stick with my original thing that I said about this beer. This is a slightly more malty double IPA, but it really does a very, very nice job actually. So thumbs up to the guys at Yardley Brewers for this, Yardley Brothers Beer for this one, if I give it the brewery its correct name. So yeah, I like this one. I would be curious to try some of their other beers as well. It'd be cool to try one of their darker beers and see how that one turns out. In fact, try one of their I think it's called the You Love It or You Hate It stout. I heard that was a good one. The guys in HK Brewcraft told me that is a really nice beer as well. But yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel then, I'd describe this beer as being quite full-bodied. The carbonation's very, very smooth on this one. It leans towards the oily side of things rather than anything else. Not too much in the way of hoppy bitterness for this one. I mean, I think you're looking maybe around 40-ish IBUs in this beer, somewhere in that kind of region. It is pretty fresh, this one. Could it be 50 IBUs? It's not going to blow the head off you in terms of IBUs, I think. It's more an oily, slightly sweet double IPA, this one. Like I said, a nice smoothness and sweetness in the malt base there. If they've used the Munich malts, it does have that typical German smoothness to it a little bit. And you've also got a lovely oily fruity note too. But overall, a really nice beer, and definitely a good introduction, I think, to do for some Hong Kong reviews for you here on the channel. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. It's been really cool to review my first Hong Kong beer for you, and I hope you enjoyed my take on this one. So yeah, once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this one in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from the Yardley brothers as well. This is a really interesting beer, interesting artwork on them as well. And yeah, let me know your thoughts on this one and their other beers that they do. And hopefully I can review more from these guys at some point in the future. I don't think in the near future, but fingers crossed. It'd be cool to see if these beers start to make their way across to Japan or something, and then probably I can get a hold of them a little bit more easily. But yeah, once again, thank you for watching my reviews. Check out my other reviews and my social media and things like that. But most importantly, check out some of the Hong Kong craft beers if you get the chance. Like I said, Jiangmen, very good brewery, and we've just discovered that Yardley Brothers are a really pretty good brewery as well. But thanks again for watching. This one is the Hong Kong Bastard, an Imperial double IPA, however you want to term it. It's 7.8% from the Yardley Brothers Brewery here in Hong Kong. Until the next time, Slange just now, and I'll catch you guys soon. You'll see another 6 or so Hong Kong reviews for me over the next little while. Slange, skull, cheers, thanks for watching.